fuck is you telling me?
Yes, sir. You were tuned in to Throw the Hook Podcast, episode 12. It's your boy G5 Jeff TV, aka G5, aka 5, aka the Guru. And I got everybody's favorite OG in the building with me. Boxing First Vlog. What's going on?
Oh man, just here to co-pilot over these boxing streets with you. We don't want to be down there in that mess. There's a lot going on down there. So we just gonna fly over the top and you know.
Absolutely, man. We got so much to cover. Oh my God, we got so much to cover, man. Big shout out to the team though. Ty Finney, the legend. You know what I'm saying? Big shout out to him. Big shout out to Shane out there in the UK. You know, as usual, he's snoring on the pillows right now, but it's cool though. We're gonna hold it down for him. Big shout out to him. Big shout out to everybody to just tune in with us, man. You know what I'm saying? So we got a lot going on in the sport. So we're just going to go over a couple things today because we're going to do another show on Sunday. Not on Sunday, on Thursday. My apologies. And we're going to go from there. So let me get these comments up real quick, bro. Real quick. All right. Okay, we got somebody in the building. Ice Agent 55. He said they are sending my team to look for Tank now. Oh, we getting started with the jokes early. Big shout out to Ice Agent 55, man. Big shout out to you. This is my first time actually seeing you, brother. So salute to you, man. If you're not subscribed to Boxing First Vlog, please subscribe to Boxing First Vlog. Subscribe to myself too. You know, we see you subscribe. We're gonna subscribe to you as well. You know what I'm saying? We return, the love and appreciation. You know what I'm saying? So big shout out to you. I hope y'all find Tank so he can get the legal proceedings started, so he can actually get back in the ring. Like that'd be absolutely awesome. Before we get started, you want to say something, Vlog?
Real quick, there's already a duck in the streets for that belt from what I'm hearing. I don't know if it's true, but you know.
We're gonna get to that.
Okay.
My God. Okay. Jay Will in the building, man. Big shout out to Jay Will. What's up with you, bro? Put a one in the chat if we sounding good, man. Put a one in the chat if we sounding good. Jay Will got the fires up for sure, man. Jay Will a day one, like for sure. Big shout out to Jay Will, man. Oh man, I'm trying to think where we gonna start. You know what? Let's start there. Let's start there. Jay Will said we won crispy clear. That's what I'm talking about. We're gonna start right there. So Tank Davis was stripped of his. I don't want to say stripped. He was reassigned. So he is no longer the WBA lightweight champion of the world. He has been designated to champion.
Real quick. Okay, that's so reassign is the new word for recess. Is
yeah.
Okay.
He was reassigned. You know how in baseball they send you down to the AAAs for the injury assignment, and they bring you back up to the majors. It's kind of something like that. You know, they send them down to the D League. You know what I mean? If it's basketball, send them down to the D League or whatever. But you know, when the champion is put in champion in recess, that belt is officially up for grabs, which segues into what Vlog was getting ready to get into. So there are reports out saying that oh man, you want to go with the rumor, bro?
I mean, it's a crazy rumor because you rarely get a youngster trying to duck a veteran or older fighter. You know what I mean? It's usually reverse where these old heads usually skating away from these young phenoms on the come up. You know what I mean? And I think personally, if it's true, it's a weight thing.
Hold on, give them the names, bro. Give them the names.
Young Floyd Schofield and Mother Schofield, as I heard he's called in the streets. They don't call him Pop Schofield.
They call him Mother Schofield.
Oh my God, bro!
I never heard that. I never heard that.
Bro,
they call him Mother Schofield. Yo, that's so funny.
I told you I didn't want to be in the streets. I said we doing a flyover. We just gonna fly over. I'm co-piloting today, bro. You got me in the streets. I got my parachute on. I'm falling down.
and I'm assuming we're talking about Kid Schofield and Lamont Roach.
Yeah, I'm hearing the duck is reversed, so I don't know if it's true.
That Kid Austin is ducking Roach.
Yes, ducking that opportunity.
So I haven't heard no details. Can you give me a little segue as far as the story? Like what you heard?
It was if they were looking for another, and they was looking at the Mason situation as a better opportunity for them.
The Mason situation?
Yeah, like looking at
Abdullah Mason. Okay.
Yeah, so but I don't know if it's either that or I think it could be a weight situation. If it's an entire we just moving out of this 135 category because he's a big dude. So, but they never really spoke on it.
I'm confused. So is it that Lamont Roach and Kid Austin's on the table for Tank's belt and Kid Austin don't want to smoke? Is that what you're basically saying?
Yes. Because when he was asked about it, he went into bringing up Abdullah Mason, and the interview dude never kind of doubled back to the Lamont Roach situation. So obviously, you know how they do with the caps and the titles. So they gonna try to bait you in. So I gave it a listen, and I gave it a few minutes, and he really was actually looking at the Abdullah, and then Pop started talking. And that's when the jab that I heard earlier, I see why they call him a mom, because you know how the mothers of the basketball players is, and the football guys, the moms are usually the louder ones as being cheerful. So the Pops was doing more talking than the son.
What they call Kid Austin Pops again?
They call him mom, Mother Schofield. Not me. That's not me. Don't put that on OG vlog.
I didn't know boxing over here.
Yeah.
I didn't know they called him that. That is hilarious.
Man, he got a mop on his head, and you know what I mean. I when I was looking at the interview and I seen how he was swinging his wig, I was like, I can kind of see why they put that tag on him like that. That's a bad tag, though, baby. That's a bad
horrible tag, bro. That's a horrible tag, man. Jay Will said Kid Austin should be fighting for the WBA belt now. He should be based off of rankings and stuff like that. Absolutely. He said, "Don't tell me Kid ducking." Hey man, I'm listening to my OG. He's saying it sound like he ducking. So I don't know, bro. We gonna have to we gonna have to keep up on that. Jay Will also said Kid Austin really needs to move on from his pops as a trainer. If that's true, follow Norman Jr. move. How you feel about that, bro? As far as Kid Austin moving on to another trainer, kind of following that Brian Norman Jr. path. I got my take on it. I'm glad Jay Will said something.
I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna answer it, but I'm gonna answer it outside the realm of them, that particular duo. I think social media is affecting that normal sort of startup that most guys get in boxing. You got an uncle, you got grandpops in some situations, or you got your pops. I think this social media and all this independent podcasting and there's these voices that they never had outside of their son listening to them and what little short camp or small camp he might be coming up under. It's getting to some of these situations and it's starting to affect them because dude was acting real mannish to a certain extent. I think that's a good word. Just his delivery and the way, Pop Schofield was talking. I'm gonna call him Pop Schofield out of respect. You know what I mean? The way he was talking, he was acting a little bit mannish, a little bit, real, I ain't gonna say sassy, but it kind of was leaning that way. You know what I mean? Just the nature of how he was delivering, and it was almost like a made-up character. It's like, bro, is you being for real right now? Like, I get it. I ain't mad at you if that's the way you are, but I think just you, it seems like you want that character out front. Because it was almost like he was trying to cut his son off. And then I'm not gonna lie, bro. I was looking at them side to side. Man, I think that's his cousin. I don't even know if that's his son, bro. Like, he might look like cousins or something, bro. Like, I'm just saying, bro. Like, because the son look old, bro. He look like he got a super mature face. You know, he remind me of, the old school boxers from like the 40s and the 50s. You know what I mean? Like, he looked like one of them dudes and shit in the face, bro. He got like a real old face, bro. You know what I mean? So that kid Austin shit is about to be played out because this motherfucker look like Unc Austin right now, bro. He look a real old in the face without that facial hair. He got that Brian Gumble. I'm old, but I ain't, I'm butt facing it. It's like, nigga, we can still see you old, nigga. It don't matter if you ain't got no hair on your face, nigga. We know you old, nigga. He's looking old, bro. That interview looked real. I couldn't even get through the whole thing. I probably get about 2-3 minutes. I just seen how
it was at the interview. Bro.
It's on the gram. It was on the gram. I'll be on it. It was on the gram.
Can you shoot that to me? Can you shoot that to me?
I'll find it. It's either on the gram or the tube. I'll be in these streets, but I'm trying to fly over. I don't even want to be down there in the muck with that, man.
Freaking hilarious.
You got me started, bro. You got me started.
I'm about to we about to change the subject, bro. You on one this evening. Jay Will said, "Sassy, a good word to describe him for sure." The only thing I'll say about Kid Austin, switching trainers is I haven't heard too much of Pops in the corner. Like, I've heard Brian Norman Sr. in the corner giving bad advice, but I haven't seen Kid Austin's Pops on camera too much in the corner.
Hold up, bro. I ain't gonna say I'm on one. And then you get in the car right next to me and start driving reckless in the street. What's that man in the corner giving bad advice? Not just advice. Like, to support your argument, you had to put the word bad in there, bro. You are terrible, bro. I caught that.
I think he went on AI before the end of each round and was like, what should I say? And just whatever AI told him to say, that's what he told Norman Jr., man. Like, but I've heard Senior, I'm talking Norman Senior. I've heard him in the corner. You rarely seen clips of Kid Austin's Pops in the corner actually giving like sound advice. So I can't really say. But I can't really say, like, to be honest.
In defense of him, has he really ever been in that situation where you think he needs that sort of guidance? I think he's been on the path where it's just that motivational talk as a trainer, Pops trainer / trainer. Like, yo, keep it up. That's what I think he's at.
To be honest with you, and this may not be on Pops, I don't, and this might sound crazy, but I think it seemed like Kid Austin has hit a ceiling in terms of in-ring performance. Like, I don't see him getting any like better. I think he's like reached his peak. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that in the sense of like he can't still win fights or he can't be a future champion. I think he kind of just hit his peak in terms of like the style in which he fights. I kind of thought the same with Sean Porter for years. I thought he hit his ceiling as far as his in-game performance, but his in-game performance has won him a lot of fights. So I'm not saying that it's taking a shot. I'm just like, if Kid Austin can get better, is he going to get better with another trainer, or has he really like hit his ceiling? Like, what do you think of Kid Austin like inside the ring? Like, how you feel about him?
I agree. The Sean Porter equivalent, you know what I mean? In this, out of this young crop, I look at it like that. Like, your style is your style, and it's not much you can, different levels you could take a style like that through. Either he's strong enough and he gonna muscle through these fights, or he's going to get outboxed at some points or whatever. But it's hard to say, you know what I mean? That I mean, what else can you do with that muscle at some point? You know what I mean? He's not fleet of foot. You know what I mean? Maybe you could probably work on the lower limbs to work on the pivot game, foot placement, and the small, minute things. But his boxing style, he's not set up to be a Crawford or Boots. Even I wouldn't even say Abdullah Mason, because Abdullah is a fighter, but he can box. He just hasn't decided to do that early in his career. He decided to fight a lot of these guys. But I think Abdullah Mason has that ability that we talking about that Schofield may be at a ceiling at.
He kind of reminds me of like a less, I don't want to say this because it's gonna make it sound like a shot. I'm gonna say it anyway. He seems like a Tim Bradley, but just lower talent. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he kind of fights like Tim Bradley, but it's like lower talent. Like, Tim Bradley had more talent than
these three fighters that we just mentioned, Porter, Bradley, and Schofield, all are similar guys to a certain extent. Like, their strength is at a max. It is what it is. That's why I said my description of him, meaning, can he muscle through? Like, can he do what he did to Kevin Farmer, to everybody, to be dominant? It only time he's going to tell me that, but I don't think he's going to add to it. It's kind of almost like a Spence to a certain extent. You know what I mean? You are what you are. Is that?
Yeah, that's a good one too. Because Spence is who he is. Like, he never, he stuck to his plan A was his plan B and his plan C. I agree with that. I agree with that. That's facts. Jay Will said Kid Austin pulled out of the Shakur fight and Jojo Diaz fight. Now this Roach news is just a bad look. You know what, Jay Will? When you put it that way, yeah. When you put it that way, yeah. Go ahead, Flo. In defense, and you gotta kind of look at it from both sides of the street when we analyzing boxing like this. He just ran through an OG that was accomplished. Does he need to turn around and do it again? Or is, like I said, the part of the interview I listened to, the name that was brought up was Abdullah Mason. There is a strap over there. So is that the better route for his career? It could be. Well, so
it could be a bigger fight for sure. For sure, that's going to be a bigger fight.
I think anything affiliated with Tank. I don't think
Tank's not.
Mason, hold
Tank's
on,
not.
Follow me real quick. I got you. Follow me real quick. So I think on the surface, I think Abdullah Mason is probably the better fight for Kid Austin in terms of him possibly winning the fight, because Abdullah Mason is young too. But I think the Lamont Roach fight is more important, because if he beats Roach and Tank eventually comes back, that puts him right in line with Tank. And that's bigger than what anything Abdullah Mason can offer him, even though Abdullah Mason is a champion. So that was just the angle I was going with it. But what you thinking?
I would think Tank wouldn't even take that fight, because Tank he wouldn't take the Schofield fight, in my estimation, because it's not equivalent. It's like he's the show. And in certain situations, when he's fighting different guys, the Gamboas, they can't argue. You know what I mean? Right. Schofield and them is kind of in a situation where they could kind of, bark back a little bit across the table and push the paper back, with some different numbers on there. And that's a holdup. And I don't think Tank and them, after what he's probably going through, and when he come back, I think they're gonna really want to get to it. You know what I'm saying?
I got a question for you, and I do agree with that. Tank 9 times out of 10 is not going to take a Schofield fight. Even with that being said, him even having his name mentioned with Tank, even though he can always attach his name to Tank because he can always say Tank ducking him or whatever the case may be. But question to you: does Schofield have a better chance of beating Abdullah Mason, or does he have a better chance of beating Lamont Roach?
I would say I would agree with you and lean Abdullah Mason because physically, I think he not one fake thing. He just looks stronger, just naturally able to kind of bully in the ring a little bit. So I think they have an edge based on what I believe they're thinking is we physically stronger. We can go in there and push this through the round. We know he like to go toe to toe, so the chin gonna be there.
I think Schofield to have a better chance of beating Mason only because of Mason. I feel like
the way he fights.
Yeah, like now I just feel like I'm not confident that Abdullah.
But remember, that's what I said about Mason earlier. He has the ability to box. He has the tools, the length, the decent footwork. But he like to be entertaining. I don't know. Maybe it's growing up with his brothers and that just natural rivalry, and is in him now because he's had these confrontations and being able to sharpen his tools against these other consistent opponents, which is his family. And ain't nothing wrong with you guys growing up and toughening each other up. I salute that. But I think that's coming out in his actual boxing style. You understand? Which is entertaining. So as a fan, I'm with it. But I think he should be going forward boxing more. So that's boxing them to recognize.
I agree. I agree with that. But that's the very same reason why I think Schofield will have a better chance against.
I double agree. You know what I mean? We on the same page.
Yeah,
we on the same page.
Jay Will said kid pulled out of Abdullah Mason fight from what I read also. I know kind of like the backstory with that. I think they never really gotten into heavy negotiations because Pops Austin, he put out like a crazy number. Like he put out like it was almost like $2 million. And this was maybe a year or so ago, like a year and a half ago. He was talking like $1.5-2 million. And I was like, neither one of them was worth that. I remember doing a video about that. I don't think the negotiations ever even started because his number was so high. Jay Will, Sean Porter, perfect example of losses didn't deter him from getting big fights. I wish more fighters had that mentality. I think we're getting to that a little bit more. I think we're getting to that a little bit more because, we have guys, take like a Pitbull Cruz. Like Pitbull Cruz has been in big fights and he's been in draws, losses, entertaining fights, and he keeps coming back to the well, and he's getting co-mains, he's getting main events. So we want boxing to get to that point where guys don't feel like the career is over, after one loss. So I actually agree with that. I got my dog, the Boxing Source, in the building, man. He said, yo, what up? Big shout out to the Boxing Source, man. If you are not subscribed to the Boxing Source, please subscribe to him. One of the brighter minds in boxing, does great work over there at the Boxing Source, man. Him and I are definitely going to link up, do some work together for sure. Big shout out to the Boxing Source. But yeah, Kid Austin, man, I think he's going to have to, his next fight should be a big fight, because regardless of what we think of his dad has talked enough to put him in position for a big fight.
Is that number unreasonable now? Is that a $5 million fight?
Now, let me make sure I got the question right. Combined between the two, The combined $5 million.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So can he get his
I
2
think
now?
feasible. I think that's feasible.
Champ get 3, he get 2.
I think that's feasible. Yeah, I think that's feasible. Yeah, to be honest with you though,
I think that's a big fight.
I think it's a big fight too, but I think Abdullah Mason deserves a home game.
I think Abdullah Mason is a Vegas. He's at that crust of being a Vegas guy.
I don't think
because he's entertaining. Vegas is about entertainment too, bro.
It's about entertainment. Yeah, it's about entertainment, but it's about name recognition as well. And they're not there yet. They're not quite there yet. I don't think they're there yet to hold a main event billing in Vegas. I don't think they're there yet. They close. They about a year or two off. You know what I'm saying?
Like, I mean, to me, when I think of a young fight like that, I okay, if it's not Vegas, obviously you kind of do get a bit of an older scene out there. Miami, LA.
I was thinking more New York.
I mean, Barclays. Okay. I'm with you, Barclays. Yeah, because you got that middle ground out there where you kind of got your Gen Xers and all of whatever they call it in generations. So I got you. Okay, I got you. Yeah.
I think
main event though. A main event, that's a big building. I think
they could pull it off, bro. You know what I would do? If I was playing matchmaker? Abdullah Mason, Floyd Schofield, Barclay, main event. You know who I would have as a co-main? Danny.
Oh, Danny is double retired, bro.
Listen to me.
I know you gotta. I know. I get where you're going.
Danny gonna put the fannies in the seats, though. He gonna put the fannies in the seats. I can even think by the end of this show, I can think of an opponent too.
I was just thinking more like you want to feel that's a young card. You want to give these, like, if you thinking card, I don't know how we got down this road, but anyway, we're on it. We're gonna finish. We're gonna make a bust another turn real quick. Yeah, I was thinking young card. I'm thinking the shoe. I'm thinking a Ford. I'm thinking like you got to keep it filled up with this sort of generation feeding into the main event. Okay. Yeah, you know what I mean? Okay. Even if you get a cross fight where it's a young buck going up against a gatekeeper sort of situation, such as the Schofield sort of.
Let me throw one at you. Let's go. If he wins on the 31st, Shoo, Cool Boy.
Not the New York Philly. You know that's gonna put fannies in the seat just because of the natural rivalry.
Bro, I think we done brokered something, bro. Abdullah Mason, Floyd Schofield, main event, Barclays Center. Give me Shoo and give me Cool Boy Steph as the co-main. I think that's selling out. Yeah, we not promoters, matchmakers, but
we can put a couple fights together.
We can put some fights together for sure. Big shout out to Fredo in the building, man. Big shout out to you, Fredo. He said Andy Cruz will cook Murataya this weekend and wants Abdullah next. You know what, Fredo? I'm glad you said that because we can segue into that, and then we'll get into the main topic of the show. But we got Raymond Murataya versus Andy Cruz this Saturday out there at the Fountain Blue out there in Vegas, man. And I really, really, really like this fight. I know Vlog is gonna do a breakdown and preview of this fight. I'm gonna do that as well.
Already up and rocking, baby. Already up. So y'all tap in. I'll give you a little bit since you brought it up. I'll give you a little bit right now.
So as far as that fight, like, what's your thoughts on it? Just give us what you're thinking.
I'm gonna tell you this. Because I cover boxing from obviously a wagering point, trying to find my lane, and that's my lane. So tap in with me. If you're looking at this fight, just based on what you know about both individuals, the numbers tell you put some money on Morataya. More.
You got it. You said it right. You said it right, Morataya. You said it right.
Okay, put some money on the boy. I'm just trying to tell you, plus 220. That makes no sense. He's the veteran fighter. He's technically the harder puncher. Body shot game, more diversified punch output. If you knowing this and you're putting some money on it based on the knowledge that I'm trying to give you, we know what Andy Cruz can do physically, but if you're talking about his punch selection, he has 2 to 3 punches that he uses. Going up against a guy that obviously has a higher output than he does and has a higher punch selection. At an underdog, I'm putting my money on it. Just on the strength that it makes more sense, there's more value. Because when you bet, you have to be betting based on value.
All right, give it to me from a non-betting perspective.
I still like it.
You like Morataya for the victory? Okay.
Because he's been into some deep waters. He just came off a serious championship fight. If it wasn't an interim title, it should have been a world title fight based on both guys' performances. The boy Abdulayev, that was a serious fight against the East European cat, bro. Boy came over here and showed up, and he was going for that interim belt. He wanted to take that shit home, but he couldn't stop. He couldn't keep Morataya off of him. I'm telling you, that combination punching is very serious, and the boy is a body snatcher. The boy looked like a young Canelo with that left hook, and I'm giving Canelo his props when he used to throw that left hook back when he was young Canelo. He got the same style left hook, very devastating, can end fights one shot, and has done it already. So the value is on him. That's so I gotta go with that. And then just me telling me, what do I like more? A dude that barely moves? Like, this is the thing. You talk about Andy Cruz. Andy Cruz is a great boxer, but he boxes coming forward. You're not boxing coming forward against that, bro. So now we're gonna find out if he can box going backwards.
Fair enough. Fair enough. As far as the fight, I think is a fantastic fight. Style wise, I think it is a fantastic fight. And for the people, we cater to all parties. You know, we cater to the hardcore fans. We cater to the casuals as well that's making their way up to hardcore status. So if I had to give you a fight to look at as far as Raymond Morataya, I would say probably if you want to get a good idea of how he is offensively, and I usually wouldn't say this about a guy like this, but Morataya fought Tevin Farmer. And he showcased a lot offensively against the Tevin Farmer. Now, I went back and looked at that fight. Now, of course, Tevin Farmer is a southpaw, but the reason I went back and watched that fight is because I wanted to see how Morataya kind of responded to a slick boxer, no matter whether it was a orthodox or a southpaw. If you go back and watch that fight, I think you'll see why Vlog likes Morataya. Morataya, he can lead, he can play the background, he can fight going forward, he can fight going backwards, he can throw one shot, he can throw in combinations. Morataya can do a little bit of everything inside of the ring. And as far as Andy Cruz is concerned, part of what makes Andy Cruz so special is that he kind of mesmerizes you inside the ring, just with the skill set, with the talent. That's not happening with Morataya. That's not happening with Morataya. Like, he's not going to go in there and be mesmerized. He's going in there. He's throwing shots. He's going to throw a good amount of shots. This is really going to come down to, can Andy Cruz take Morataya's shot? If he can, I like Cruz. But we've seen Cruz hurt before, 2-3 times. We've seen him hurt before. So I think like skill set
Can I
wise.
add to that?
Go ahead.
Can I add
Go
to
ahead.
that? Mortayev has been hurt also. But the difference is what he's done in return. Both men have been hurt, but Mortayev, the way he absorbs it, like he's been on the canvas, got up damn near in the same round and destroyed this dude. So it's that kind of get up that's a little bit, I think, a bit of an edge. Even though, like we said, you just said Cruz been buzzed, but I think it's a different buzz when you're getting hit by Raymond.
Yeah, another thing which makes this such an even fight is we have rarely seen a Cuban fighter that has that type of skill set, and they've had their style, I would say, quote unquote, Americanized. And what I mean by that is you take a guy like an Landy Lara back in the day, like when he was young, his style never got Americanized, which means this: you're not fighting the amateur style like on a point system. Like Lara was fighting like an amateur for a very long time, even though it was very effective. He just now recently, over the last 3-4 years, really started sitting down on the shots and not moving as much. The thing I like about Andy Cruz is that he got with Bozy Ennis. So he actually has more of a pro style now than he's had, in the beginning of his career. So he's kind of Americanized his Cuban style, which makes him dynamic inside the ring. I think this fight really going to come down to who can take whose shot, when it come down to it. If, like I said, if Cruz can take Muratay's shot, I like Cruz. If he can't take his shot, he in for a long night. He's in for a long night. Betting wise, Murataya at +2 something. That's some good odds. Let me get in here real quick. Let me get in his comments real quick. Fredo said Cruz is 30 with that Cuban background. He is no normal newcomer. I agree with that, but that's what makes this fight so entertaining, Fredo. That's what makes it so entertaining, man. It's close to 50-50 for sure.
Let me rebut that. The knowledge acquired in the pro level is completely different.
I agree with that.
Because the way, let's be honest, the way he beat Kyshawn Davis, you're not gonna win many pro fights like that. The judges are not going to like this. It's just judged differently on a pro level. He was more aggressive in that fight. It wasn't very efficient. It wasn't very clean. It was just he kept coming forward and he pressed them. That's a different style, and he's doing that in the pro level now. But it's not the same competition that he's doing it against Rohan or Bohan or Human or whatever the boy name was when he was on the turkey card when they was all outside for like 9 hours and shit. That card, that was a serious little fight before he got old boy up out of there because he got clipped in that fight. So this is a different level of pressure. It's a different level of wear and tear that your body's used to. So like I said, old boy just came off a war. Him getting hit again is not going to be nothing new. Body's kind of in that groove. And I just think it's not going to be an easy night for the boy Cruz. And it's no hating that like that.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be an easy fight for either guy at all. I think this is a very good matchup. Boxing Source said Murataya can adapt to defense first style. Cruz should take the belt on Saturday. The one thing I'll say about that, bro, is that Cruz lately hasn't been defense first. He's been pretty offensive. Didn't
I say he's boxing coming forward? He's not. We're gonna find out
a little bit.
Yeah.
Boxing Source. The thing is, you gotta remember who he's in camp with. He's with Bozy Ennis. He's watching Boots and all these Philly guys and all that. So he's been a little aggressive lately. Now, when you think of Andy Cruz, like just in a general sense, Cuban fighter, stuff like that, you're thinking he's defensive first. He's one of the more offensive Cuban fighters that I've seen. Like him actually stepping forward and actually showcasing his offense. Now, of course, he's flashing the defense within that, but he's more and more offense first before defense. Now, if he does come in defense first and he's counterpunching a lot of Murataya's shots, I think that actually gives him the best chance to actually win the fight. Him actually counterpunching Murataya, because Murataya, he's going to give you opportunities to land. He's definitely going to give you opportunities to land for sure. So if Cruz can stay disciplined, which I'm assuming he will, I think he can. I think that's his best course of victory.
So when you saying it that way, that means you talking about Cruz's singles being more flashy, more effective than what combinations Raymond is able to put together. That's what it sounds like.
Not exactly. If this
no,
is
because
if this is a different fighter,
come on, we being honest. We know Cruz does not throw in combination.
I'm about to give it to you. Right. When Cruz counters, a lot of times Cruz won't counter with just one shot. Usually he'll counter in 2s and 3s. A lot of times, if he's not countering, he throws a lot of single shots. That's why I said I think him countering is actually his best course of action, because when he counters, he's countering in 2s and 3s. If he's not countering, he's a lot of times he's just throwing single shots. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times he's throwing single shots. I think he'd be better off countering because you get a lot more volume out of him.
That's why I disagree with you a little bit, because from with the tape, and I did my own homework, I noticed he smothers himself when he opens up combinations. So he doesn't. Yes, because he lets people get close to him. When he starts opening up, that gets them close. He's better when he's able to catch them at that range, perfect when they on their way in or he's on his way out. That's what I noticed. I could be wrong. Everybody sees things a little bit differently, and I'm not saying you're wrong when I'm right. I just what I mean. I kind of saw it. Like I've seen him throw the combination, especially in the I believe it's Rohan or Wuhan or something of that nature. It was on the Turkey card where they was outside. It was outside fight.
I'm gonna go back and because we gonna go over this again on Thursday. But I'll go back and look for that and watch a little bit more tape and see if I actually see that. Boxing sources said if Top Rank didn't lose that TV deal last July, we most likely would have seen Murataya have a defense before taking on Cruz. I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. I agree with that. That's actually a fact. So
you said he would already had a world title fight, because you're not counting this past interim, because it technically okay.
Correct. So it'd be, that's why I agree with it. With it. In this corner podcast, man, salute to the team. Big shout out to Ty Finney, the legend, man. Big shout out to you, bro. He said salute to Jemel Herring winning his debut BKFC fight. I'm actually glad you said that because big shout out to Jemel Herring for that victory. And I'm going to cover this in a video, like a separate video, but you're starting to see the start of maybe a trend of fighters that are considered quote unquote done in the boxing realm, and they're going over to bare knuckle fighting. Austin Trout's a world champion in bare knuckle fighting. So I think it's something that we need to talk about in the future, and it's something we need to acknowledge, because these are fighters extending their careers, and also it's less politics in bare knuckle fighting. And guys getting a check, doing what they're doing, and one of Vlog's favorites, Paulie Malignaggi, did some bare knuckle fighting as well, But I'm gonna keep Paulie out of this. I don't want to steer Vlog off into a whole different area, so we're gonna keep it we gonna move on. I'm back.
Hold on. You brought it up. I put up a post the other day. It popped in my mind. I don't know why. The last time an American white male was in the top pound for pound rankings was over a quarter century ago. Paulie Malignaggi was in that group along with Kelly Pavlik and somebody else, but I just thought that was interesting.
I remember Kelly Pavlik. I think at one point was in people's top 10 pound for pound, especially after him winning the middleweight title. I don't remember Malignaggi being in anybody's pound for pound.
Check my post. I'm just reporting the news.
I seen your post. I seen it. I felt the same way when I read it. I was like, I said, but Pavlik, yeah. I was like, Pavlik, yeah. He was considered.
You know who I thought could have been on there at one moment? Not that I think the list didn't recognize because he kind of lost in that big opportunity with Joe Smith. He was on that little run. Joe Smith Jr. He was on that.
Joe Smith, I think.
He was on that run to kind of hit that crust of the pound for pound.
Me personally, I don't think so. I think when he went on that run, he was, and it was all within like a year and a half. Like he was on that run where you could have had him as either comeback fighter of the year or even fighter of the year. When he was on that run. But no, Joe Smith went on a nice little run. Big shout out to Joe Smith too. Big shout out to him.
Big shout out to all of them. But in my post, I just commented that I think they lost it to the MMA. Like with that, that was the era. Like MMA was really making its claim and saying we here to stay, sort of thing. So I think that's what happened with as far as the American white male is concerned. It just popped in my head. I'm a boxing head, so I think about off-brand shit. So
I got you. Boxing sources said, yeah, he stepped forward with the style that Bozy implements, but he still adopts that defensive style. Is not like how David Morrell fights, as an example. You know what? I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that. That's a good comparison too. And that's exactly how I look at Andy Cruz. Andy Cruz offensively fights like an American fighter, but defensively he still has his Cuban roots. And I think if he has kind of mastered both, I think he's going to showcase it against Murataya. Murataya has that type of style where if you're a great counterpuncher, you'll be able to show it. But then he has enough holes defensively. If you want to step forward and actually put some stuff together, he'll give you that opportunity too. Like Murataya is like the perfectly flawed fighter. Like he's a good fighter, but he has enough flaws to where if you're very good or you're great, you should be able to get to him. And that's why I'm so intrigued about this fight, man.
One of his flaws is also could be looked at as an advantage. Having a chin is overlooked in boxing a lot. So if you're able, that's what I brought up in my video. I like you said, who's going to be able to deal with who in my estimation? And I think just too much. If you're getting hit more than you're hitting, in the long run, to me, you're going to lose.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's why I say part of this fight is going to come down to who can take whose shot over a sustained amount of time. Like I think that's going to have a lot to do with it, with this fight because. And then Murataya is a good fighter. Murataya is a good fighter, man. Good fighter.
Real quick before we get into that last topic, rounds. Who's been in the deeper waters a few more times and body adjusted and things of that nature? Just bringing that up.
It's a lot to look at. It's a lot to look at for sure. Lance Meyer, 4057 in the building, man, said, "Yo, what up with you? I might be wrong. It's my first time seeing you on here, man. Please subscribe to Boxing First Vlog. Please subscribe to my channel as well. Once we see you, we're gonna subscribe right back. We're gonna show the love right back. You know what I'm saying? To get into probably like the last topic before we get up out of here is Keyshawn Davis. He's fighting Jermaine Ortiz January 31st, and he had an interview with Andre Ward and Roy Jones, two legends in the sport. Big shout out to both of them. Where Keyshawn Davis basically said that he couldn't lose the last 3 pounds for his last fight against De Los Santos in his hometown of Virginia because he was basically drinking during camp, and that's why he couldn't, lose those extra 3 pounds. Now, I can't play the video because of who they had the interview with. I just don't want to run the risk. But Bernie the Boxer was doing an interview with Mill City Boxing. Big shout out to Mill City Boxing. And Bernie he basically said that was cap. He basically said that was cap. You know, in terms of Keyshawn saying he was drinking during camp, because the way their camps are structured is very difficult to be doing something like that, and the team don't know about it. And Jemel Herring did an interview on another channel, and he basically said the exact same thing. And I'm going to insert myself into this situation because good friend of mine, Tristan Tree James out of Iowa, former fighter, former light heavyweight, former cruiserweight, he used to be in the camps with Bomac and Terence Crawford, and he used to do a lot of work with Steven so-called Nelson as well. And he's been in camps with those guys, and he's told me off camera, like they're in that same house, they're all in that same house pretty much for the entire camp if it's a big fight, and it would be extremely difficult for somebody to do that. So I said all of that to say this. If you have Bernie the boxer saying that, you have Jemel Herring saying that, Bomac even said, hey, keep my name out of that stuff. And we've never really seen any funny stuff in terms of like that whole Bomac camp. Is it a chance that Kyshawn is even telling the truth about him drinking during camp, and that was the reason why he couldn't lose those extra 3 pounds? Like, Vlog, give us your thoughts on that.
Well, see, I think different than your average person. I heard everything you said, and I listened very patiently. I'm stuck on the weight thing. I'm stuck on the fact that how tight everything has been done over there. So, if everything is tight, and this young man was not in pocket physically the way he's supposed to be to go perform his job, ain't that kind of y'all fault too? I'm just asking a question. Or was everybody the camp? Isn't the camp, your team, part of the whole process of getting in shape, your trainer? That's what I'm asking. I'm just asking a question. Is everybody not responsible if this is a team? Not taking blame from the young man, from the actual performer. Mm-hmm. But if everybody else isn't doing their job, isn't that part of why the job never got done in the end?
Generally speaking, I would ask that question.
But because of his character, I think people aren't looking at it from that aspect. Because of how, I won't say flamboyant because that's the wrong word, but that the way flamboyant is, the way we understand that to be, he's out there. This generation of these young kids, this internet, and just, you know, wanting to be that guy, even if you haven't proved that you're that guy yet. You understand what I'm saying? So I think people are overlooking that because of the talking and the jaw jacking that he's been doing lately. You know what I mean? If that's the way you're going to promote yourself. But I'm just asking a question that has to be talked about.
So,
because look, there has to be a split for a reason. Did he feel like everything that was going on with the build up for Crawford and Canelo take steam away from whatever he was trying to build up and develop actually in the gym? So do he feel like, all right, well, I'm not even going to push it the extra mile because y'all not here to really support me pushing the extra mile because of whatever was going on with the Canelo Crawford situation? Could that be a factor?
I think all roads lead right back to Kyshawn. Well, I'm gonna tell you why though, because even you take away the drinking, even that example you just gave, it'll go back to Kyshawn not being a professional. He's not taking his craft serious. I don't give a damn what's going on with Bud, Canelo, Bomac or whoever. And it's Bomac and 2 other trainers. So it's not just Bomac. The fact that Kyshawn actually went through the process. Now, let's say, take the drinking out of it, right? Take the drinking out of it. Let's just say the drinking's not an issue. He came in 3 pounds overweight. Drinking's not an issue. So generally speaking, we're going to think, okay, this is a combination of the fighter and the camp. We're not going to point at one party and say it's one party. But because, like you said, because all the barking Keyshawn's been doing, and the way he portrayed himself, even on fight night, the way he portrayed himself, it just wasn't professional. So I think even if it was the camp, people aren't even willing to give him the benefit of the doubt if he wanted to put that out there. And it just makes Kyshawn look bad. That's why the 31st is so important for Kyshawn. Like, not only does Kyshawn have to win this fight, he got to be impressive and win this fight against Jermaine Ortiz. It is very important for him to show up and show out on the 31st, because there's a lot of questions with Kyshawn, however you want to look at it. It is, because let's just say the drinking's on the table. Let's say the drinking's on the table, vlog. If that's the case, I done took a drink or two. Vlog, you done took a drink or two. If you took a drink last Tuesday, that wasn't the first time you took a drink. And neither was it for me. So if that's the case, how many times has Kyshawn actually been drunk in camp? Is he drinking right before the fights? Is he drinking on fight night? That's what I'm saying. Like, he would have been better off not saying anything about the drinking thing, because it just opens up a whole can of worms. Opens up worms. Go ahead.
Now, I said what I said, right? Mm-hmm. As trying to cover both sides. We boxing pundits. We just not like, I'm team A, team B. We talking the whole realm of boxing. Mm-hmm. He back. He in these streets doubling back. He not exactly saying it wasn't the drinking, but what he's saying now is I'm talking too much, because what I'm doing is actually giving them shade. And from how you discuss that camp, they solid. They handle business. They not with no nonsense whoop-de-whoop. You know what I mean? Win, lose, or draw. Obviously with Herring and other fighters like that they deal with, everybody ain't buzz. So obviously they not dealing with all winners, but they all handle business and they tight with it. Is it what I'm saying is, I think all the jaw jacking that he's doing now is getting closer to fight. And I think he's trying to reel that character back in, because the last statement is, and this is out of his own mouth, I'm talking about too much personal stuff, and that has nothing to do with the fight. And that's what the last words I heard out of his mouth. So I submit it to his age, bro. I submit that the excuses is something that you can he's in that age group where they hit the club and they all with the jewelry and all it, the quote unquote bling bling. That's more, back when I was still, little young pee-wee. But anyway, that's back then, the bling bling. But that's basically what they judge him for, as that type of era fighter. So I think it's just undisciplined, like you said, which led to that. Maybe a bit of fear.
Yeah, and I think I think another thing is, I don't think he expected for the people in the camp to respond the way they did, because even though Bernie the Boxer made his point clear, he showed a lot of love to Keyshawn in that interview he did with Mill City Boxing. Showed him a lot of love. Jemel Herring did the exact same thing. Showed him a lot of love. Bomac just didn't get into it. He was just like, yo, just keep my name out of that. I don't want nothing to do with that. So
and people that this way, just to add on to what you're saying, you don't want to put your quote unquote friendship with Stevenson in the middle of that.
And I think that's another thing as well. I think you know what it looked like, bro. I think he said it in the interview, and I think by the time some OGs came up to him, was just like, yo, you probably shouldn't have said that. Bernie the Boxer and Jemel Herring already responded to it. And I think he just doubling back, because he didn't have to say that. He could have just said, hey, it didn't go my way, which he already said. I take full responsibility. He didn't have to get back into it. But I think two things can be right. I think he just spoke on something, and that was a little too personal. He spoke on it, and he didn't have to. And Bomac could have went there, and he decided not to. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think Kyshawn just need to lock in. He just need to lock in for the 31st because that's a very important fight.
Hey, we know boxing is 85% mental, 15% physical. If your mind ain't into it, that body not gonna respond. It has muscle memory to a certain extent, bro. So he got to get right, just based on that aspect of this is internal, this is personal. All of this out now is out in the streets. So now people in your DM and all on your X or Twitter or whatever they calling that now, and all these different social sites. And we know this dude can't go nowhere without his phone because most of us can't. So obviously he got to be trying to turn the notifications off, but he probably got too many social media apps to be able to do that and consistently communicate. So he in a turmoil that you don't want to be in before a big stage. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Get into these last couple here. In this corner boxing, he said, I've been seeing some talk about a possible Lamont Roach versus Floyd Schofield fight. Would you guys entertain that? Schofield wants Abdullah, but I don't see that happening right away. We talked about that a little bit earlier. It looked like Schofield might be ducking both opportunities in a sense. But we'll see what happens, bro. But we definitely covered that earlier. But we'll see
real quick to answer his question. What's the better opportunity? If you Schofield, what's the best path to a title? Either Lamont Roach fight, either Mason fight, or the winner of Cruz Matarala. What is this is where he's at basically, because I would think he is in that realm of number one contendership.
If Murataya wins the fight against Cruz, obviously Murataya would be the best fight for him. If Cruz wins the fight, I think he needs to stay far away from Andy Cruz. As far as Abdullah Mason and Lamont Roach, I think his style would be more difficult to deal with as far as Schofield is concerned. I hate to say it, but I think it's Abdullah Mason. And it's only because I think Abdullah Mason is going to give Schofield the type of fight that would be best for him to get a victory, which is a knockdown, drag-out fight. I don't think Schofield can outbox any of them dudes. I don't think he can outbox Roach. I don't think he can outbox Abdullah Mason. I don't think he can outbox Cruz or Murataya, to be honest with you.
Okay. Question. Can he outfight any of them? Because we know, that's how I analyze him. I don't analyze him as a traditional boxer. He's a fighter. He can fight.
Yeah. So I think he'll probably outfight Murataya because he's physically the stronger guy, but I think Murataya has the better punch selection. I think he has much more punch variety. I don't think Andy Cruz will even give him the opportunity to fight him. And I don't think Lamont Roach would just box him. I think the way he fought Pitbull, I think that was kind of like a one-of-one type situation. He was fighting in Texas and all that as a main event. I don't see Roach fighting like that against a Schofield. I think he would just box his ears off, to be honest with you. And Abdullah Mason, I don't think he can outfight Abdullah Mason. I think Abdullah Mason would beat him in a street fight. I think he would beat him in a knockdown, drag-out fight. I think Abdullah Mason will win. So I think Murataya is really the only person he could really like outfight. And Cruz is just out of it. I just don't see Cruz fighting that type of fight.
What you think? I think he's stronger than all of them dudes in all actuality, because I don't think he's an actual 135 guy. He's on that. Hold up, let me finish. I'm gonna park it real quick. I think he's in that Devin Haney stage where he's at that either grab a belt real fast because he's too big for this weight to be able to say, I'm gonna grab a belt and go for unification or something of that nature. I just think he got a fucking build like a linebacker, bro. You know what I mean? Come on, bro.
But I think he just got more muscles than everybody else.
That's what makes me think he's stronger. Plus, he
I
has
don't think,
youth on his side.
but I'm surprised you saying that though, because you're the main person that say a person that got muscles don't necessarily mean they punching shit through the wall.
No, I didn't. But I'm talking about strength as in a part of your boxing anatomy to give you an ability, because it's abilities that you get in boxing. Natural strength is an ability. That being on his side it can play a factor as in how he can help get an advantage in the ring, corner a dude, get close and stay close because he's strong. You know what I mean? So that's why I asked. That's why I think he's stronger,
No,
which will help him in a lot of these fights.
That's a point to think about for sure. I don't think he's gonna out muscle like an Abdullah Mason. I don't think he's gonna out muscle him. You would think with that physique, you would think he should be fighting at like 47. So I get what you're saying, like for sure. I definitely get what you're saying. In this corner podcast, it seemed like Mel wants Boots. Could that possibly happen with Charlo's and inactivity? To be honest with you, I don't believe any of these dudes want to fight Boots, man. Because the second they say they want to fight Boots, they're gonna say they want 10 million plus. But then in the same breath, they're gonna say Boots is a nobody. Vlog, am I lying about that?
Bro, if PBC was going to let anybody fight Boots, they would have went after him when he was 24-0, 22-0. They're not going to wait till now where he's actually in that groove. And he's still young. That's what's crazy. They would have to wait another 6 years.
I don't even think Boots is in his prime yet.
That's my point.
I don't think he's in his physical prime yet.
I think that's just talk. Boots is a hot name, obviously, coming off the situation with the Ortiz and all of that. So
Vlog, let me ask you this question real quick. If Jemel Charlo's serious about fighting Boots, what's a good number for him as far as purse? What's a good number? A good realistic number for him? 4 M's.
Yeah, that's a $10 million fight to me.
You thinking 4 for Mel, 6 for Boots?
Yeah, that's a $10 million fight to me. At a minimum, non-title. You know what I mean? Both of them trying to.
And that's an Amazon fight too.
Yeah, that's a $10 million fight, easy.
I ain't mad at that. I ain't mad at that at all. Big shout out to Amaro, man. Big shout out to you, bro. Good seeing you. He said Kyshawn is a bozo. A lot. Damn, Amaro, you get right down to it. Shit. He said, yeah, he's a bozo. But you know what, bro? A lot of people think Kyshawn is a bozo, yo. But it's the funny thing in boxing, though, it can take you one comment, one statement to go from solid to a bozo. So it don't take much in the sport of boxing. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people feel the same way you do. Boxing sources said, my view is that Key should not have defended the title after he won it. I felt that he was outgrowing the weight from looking at him against Burchik. You know what, bro? Now that's a decision that should be made by fighter and team. And you see that mistake happen a lot where guys stay at a weight because they feel like they just have a physical advantage. I'm going to cramp myself down, get down to my weight, and then I'm coming in big on fight night. And I think as a fighter and as the fighter's camp or their team, you have to have an honest conversation about that. But I'll give you an example. Boots Ennis had that honest conversation with his dad and his brothers in his camp, because when he was champion at 147, when he was unified, he actually wasn't showing any physical struggle in making weight. He looked exactly the same at every single weigh-in. But behind closed doors, we all knew Boots was outgrowing the weight. And on top of that, he was the IBF champion as well, so he couldn't rehydrate like these other guys do. He had 10 pounds. He had 10 pounds to rehydrate. So when you're the IBF champion, that's an added stress to your body because you can't rehydrate 15, 20 plus pounds. So the smart fighters and the guys that believe in their skill set, they're not going to make that mistake. We've seen Boots do it. He moved up to 54 when he probably could have fought at 47 probably another 2-3 more times and been okay. Devin Haney went up to 47. He did his little stint at 40. He said, you know what? My body's calling for 47. I got to get up to 47. They made a conscious decision as a team. They believed in his skill set. They believe he can win against anybody. So the weight doesn't matter. So if that's the case, Boxing Source, Keyshawn should have sat down with Bomac and them and even his promoter and said, you know what? I just won this championship. I'm going up to 140. Like that even goes back to professionalism, your camp, being in sync with your camp and things like that. I actually, now looking at it, he probably should have just shot straight up to 140. He should have just shot it straight up to 140. Go ahead, Flo.
You know who probably knew that? It was like, I'm probably in a way going through the same thing. Stevenson. Because you see, he out of there. He went right to 140. He ain't even playing no more games with it. So you push it too far, you might hit the wall in the wrong fight. That could make you look bad. And it's actually, well, which happened to him, but it can actually happen inside the ring.
Hey, bro, can I speak on something real quick? Listen, I think another reason why these guys are doing that is because 140 is serious. 140 is serious. And I think these guys are looking at 47 and they going just like this. Birdman hands. They like this with it. They seeing food up there at 47. Now, I ain't talking about Devin Haney. You know who I'm talking about. Our good old friend Mario Barrios.
And cheeks up there. Friend Ryan Garcia.
Rolly Romero.
I mean, Rolly ain't an easy out, bro. This is a different Rolly in my estimation.
Hey, yo, who went? Hey, yo. I'm just hypothetical. Bro, if it was a Mario Barrios Rolly Romero unification fight, yo, that is so nasty, bro. That is nasty work. That is trifling work. Like,
nah, actually,
the nickname for that event should be Cheeks. Just Cheeks. Like, no, that's the name of the event. Cheeks.
Bro, stop. That actually works for boxing. That's the Mexican versus the Puerto Rican traditional cross matchup.
Who went? Yo, is that could that go down as one of the worst? Could that go down as one of the worst unification fights on paper?
Oh, no, bro. No, because see, I'm looking at Rolly in a different light, bro.
What kind of light you looking at Rolly in?
In an improved light. Okay. I think that is a great word to describe his elevation from 140 and how he looked against what's the name. Could have been a weight situation too.
Against Tank?
Yeah, against Tank. You know what I mean? It could have been a weight situation where he came out guns blazing. I'm all or nothing. You know what I mean? And I ran into some shit trying to go all or nothing because he was at the wall with the weight.
But I gotta credit Tank in that too, though. Because
Tank set it up.
That same pattern that Rolly Romero used before the knockout, he used that earlier in the fight and caught Tank with something big. That same punch combination. And Tank adjusted. And I'm like, that's why I was like, I don't think weight was the issue with that. I think Tank just adjusted. That was a great shot.
No, I mean, I'm just talking about like reasons for him. Like, I got to get out of this division. This is my last like opportunity in this division. So I'm balls to the wall with my fight plan. He didn't really readjust because again, he came with the same.
He didn't like Tank either. He was gonna go his head regardless.
That makes me think about this fight here with Ortiz and the young man coming up next weekend. Not this weekend, but the following weekend. If you so mentally keyed in on like this comeback thing and all of that, back to my statement a few minutes ago, 85% mental. Don't overthink this, young boy. Just key in on your game plan. Stop this social media thing, bro. I understand what you're doing. I think you've done enough. You got enough time right now to refocus, reset, key in. The last conversation in his last words seemed like, they got the train back on the track, like whatever derailment. And so maybe, I'm just saying he got a key in, bro, because I think he was all over the place in these last couple of weeks. We talking about Keyshawn.
When is their press conference got to be? Their final press conference got to be what, early next week? Gotta be,
I think like Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, Monday, Tuesday.
So I'm wondering. I seen him doing the pass with my guy Rasheem Jefferson. I wonder if he's the trainer for the fight. Shane Jefferson's one of the. He's one of the.
He said from what he said, it's all family. Now I don't know if that means blood or not, but that's what he said in that interview. Also, like where he's at and what he's working with right now, he's like it's all family. So
it's all family. Okay, that's interesting. I'm gonna have to find out who his trainer is. I think that's gonna tell me a little bit too.
Yeah, bro, because if you all over the place, man, and you do not want to be thinking about what your girl said, your mama and them talking about they late on the light bill, you don't want to be thinking about that type of stuff that night, bro. Right. That's how you get your chin checked.
No, that's a fact. And Kyshawn Davis is definitely in a dogfight against Jermaine Ortiz. And another thing before we wrap this up, Jermaine Ortiz is a desperate fighter. He's a desperate fighter. He's had his opportunities at the top of the mountain. And
cornered rat.
And when you're dealing with somebody like that, and Jermaine Ortiz, he believes that he's top tier. He just hasn't proven it yet on the top level. This might be his last opportunity to actually prove it. And to be honest with you, he's not going to get a better shot than Kyshawn Davis. And I'm not saying that because I feel like Jermaine Ortiz is so much more talented than Kyshawn Davis. Going into a fight, you want your opponent to have as many red flags as possible. Jermaine Ortiz not going to get another fight against a guy that has this many red flags going into a fight. Whatever Kyshawn does on January 31st, he's just going to be like, I told you so. But he's going to have to prove it. Nobody's buying it outside of his family and maybe his fans. Nobody else is buying it. Like, everybody thinks he just has a lot of red flags and they don't know what they're getting. But I think even his family and his family and everybody else will say, we don't know what we're getting on the 31st. We don't know what we're getting on the 31st. And on top of that, he's going up to a new weight. He's going up to a new weight. We cannot ignore that. Yes, it's 35, it's 5 pounds, but it's still, that's a lot.
My biggest question is gas tank. Again, it's the same question I brought up in the Andy Crew. You talking deep waters against a guy that's been in them waters a few times and is bringing that experience, and it may be a slight edge to some people. But the smallest thing can change fights, bro, especially on scorecards.
Can I add this real quick, bro? And this goes towards the gas tank question. People's gas tanks don't go down to half tank and down to E if the opponent don't give them a reason. If your opponent not putting in no body work, if your opponent's not applying physical and mental pressure, if your opponent's not landing good shots early on in the fight, we ain't got to worry about no gas tank with Kyshawn Davis. Kyshawn going to be right there if Jermaine Ortiz is not throwing them hands and putting combinations together either. So just as much red flags as it is with Kyshawn Davis, it's technically the same amount of flags with Jermaine Ortiz as well, because we keep seeing the same product when he steps up in competition. The same product. We've seen it against Teofimo Lopez. We've seen it against Lomachenko. He gets to a certain point and he stalls out. He get in that left lane. He get about 80 miles an hour. He ain't going above 80. He not going above 80. That's a V6. He got a V6 engine when it comes down to offense. He got a V6. You get to these higher levels, man. You got to be at that V8, that V12, that vehicle. When you see it behind you, you just switch lanes. You just let them go. Jermaine Ortiz hasn't shown that yet. He hasn't shown it. I don't know if he got that in him. I don't know if he got that gear. I don't know if he has it.
If can't nobody's antics pull it out of you, it could be the run that the young man has been on. It's something can like that fire. This is why I said it's a mental thing. So it's hit and miss. What the reaction is, we waiting. That's why we waiting to see the fight. But the build up and how they gonna come out, come out guns blazing.
Quick question: if Jermaine Ortiz loses this fight, similar to how he lost the other fights, is he gatekeeper status?
And that's crazy because I was thinking the same thing. Is he even too young to be a gatekeeper? Which is mad crazy because he's still young. He what is he, mid 28, something like that?
I don't even think he's 30 yet.
That's what I'm saying. So he mad young to be a gatekeeper.
Can you be a young gatekeeper? Can you be a young
man? That is. I mean, he got, but with his list of fights, it could be possible because he has a decent resume. Probably one of the best resumes at 135.
How old is Broner?
Broner?
Yeah.
He probably ain't he like 48 or something?
Adrian Broner. I ain't talking. What are you talking about?
Yeah, the way that mother run, he been on like 48 years old.
Yo, he said Broner 48.
I here acting like somebody drunk grandpappy, man. This dude is a super duper. He like the corner lounge guy. Like, oh yeah. Like, I don't I don't know how old he is, but ain't he mid 30s, 35, something like that, 36?
Yo, he is that dude at the bar, like, hey man, just give me one more drink, man. I'm gonna get up out of here. That's Broner. That's Broner. I'm clipping this. That part's definitely coming out as a clip. Back to my point though, Broner's been quote unquote a gatekeeper for a couple years though. So he
but I would say that but this young boy a little younger. And he don't have the look of a gatekeeper, basically, physically. Not judging him as a man, but just he don't got that wear and tear.
But it's like obviously, if he loses his fight against Kyshawn, he's obviously not elite. So it's like
I think his performance, because if he looks good enough, he could actually move up to 140 and look for some wiggle room. Like try to find, you know what I mean? I mean, not 140, 147, because his body type is another dude that.
I got one for you. Can Jermaine Ortiz beat Dalton Smith right now?
Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no.
My guy.
Oh, hell. That Dalton Smith we just saw, because that's all I can go on.
Hey, hold on. For the people that's watching it may not be familiar with Boxing First Vlog and myself. I'm notorious for doing this. I will bring up certain questions just to make sure him and I are our planets are aligned. That was one of those situations. I had to make sure my guy and I are thinking the same. I was great to say like it's no way he don't beat any of the champions at 140.
Nah, especially in a situation like that, he would have to do that on the road. Oh hell no. Oh hell no. He ain't got a chance.
Because I'm thinking if he doesn't beat Keyshawn Davis, who can he beat at 140 between a good fighter and a champion? Like who can he beat?
Now, I don't know if he can beat him, but I think it would be a good fight. Him and Roach probably would be a good fight.
I think Roach beats him.
Possibly, but if that was like let's say Roach grabs the belt and he needs a number one contender after he grabs the belt against whoever, that I could see, that name coming up. You know what I mean? Just
Pitbull think Pitbull will mop him?
My Ortiz.
Your man, yeah.
I give Ortiz a chance in that fight because Pitbull is he on that Canelo. He going backwards. He not he not even keel. He taking a step back. His dirtiness is coming a little bit more. He's doing it a little bit earlier in fights. A little bit more frustration.
Hey, bro. I had a couple. I forgot to tell you this, bro. I'm actually glad I remembered it. You remember that? I got hit up a couple times. Remember your take on Lamont Roach being fighter of the year off of 2 robberies?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say who, but I got somebody hit me and said, like, your fighter of the year shouldn't be rolling around on the ground after a knockdown. I don't want my fighter of the year looking like that. So when Pitbull knocked him down, what was that, the 3rd round?
I mean,
I've got some pushback as far as that.
I'm just, bro. But what happened? Did he get up and finish the fight?
I'm with you.
And to add, is there an argument that he won the fight?
Absolutely.
Thank you. That's why I believe in common sense consideration, you can't overlook two performances that can arguably be judged wins, which automatically would put him in the top 3 for beating both those guys in the same year as fighter of the year. I brought it up as consideration, as an afterthought, as a nominee.
Like I said, I thought that was I don't know anybody that would have came up with that.
I think outside the box, baby. It's me. That's why you got me co-filing.
Yeah, that was definitely one for the history books, like for sure, man. But we have so much stuff to cover on Thursday. We're gonna get into the Raymond Murataya and Andy Cruz fight more in detail. Of course, we got Khalil Cole and the Philly guy Jesse Hart on that card as well. We also have Madrimov is on that card as well. So that's another fight. And we also have Xander Zayas fighting on the 31st. And he got a home game too. That's a home game for him, unification fight. Also, Pro Box card is on the 30th. Nice Pro Box card. Gonna have to look into that as well. I'm trying to think who else. Of course, Keyshawn and Jermaine Ortiz. We have Carlos Adames and Ammo Williams. That's on the card. We got Jarrell Big Baby Miller fighting on the card as well. I feel like it's another fight I'm forgetting. I'm forgetting the fight.
I know that boy Aziz. He fighting over the boy from over there across the pond. They got a little card going on too, so he got a little comeback coming.
Yeah. So it's a lot going on between this Saturday and
the end of the month.
And the end of the month, man. I hate it because I'm like, the Pro Box cards always seem to get overshadowed, bro. And they got about a good 4 or 5 fights on in there that's worth talking about for sure, man. But we're gonna try to do what we can, try to cover as much as we can. You got the most out of us tonight. You got an hour and a half in.
Yeah, bro. I'm too long.
We fell right on that threshold of an hour and a half. Man. So we this was a good one. This was a really good one. We definitely gonna put some clips out for this one, man. Big shout out to everyone that tuned in. I gotta do a quick roll call before we get up out of here, man. Boxing Source, big shout out to you, bro. Amaro Austin, big shout out to you. In This Corner podcast, Ty Finney the legend. Lance Meyer, big shout out to you. Also Fredo for life, big shout out to you as well. Jay Will, the family was up in here. And also Ice Agent 55, he said he's sending his team out to look for Tank, man. They said Tank's missing. I Ice Agent 55 said he's sending his team out to look for the tank right now, man. But we appreciate everybody that was on the show. Vlog, please give them your social media and let them know what's going on with you, and we can kind of go from there.
We continue in the mix in 2026, trying to put the ingredients together to rebuild the platform, catch a wave, you know what I mean? Grow, progress, with you guys' support. So you could slide over and give me a comment, subscribing, liking, and all of that. I'm obviously on YouTube. I'm breaking down fight previews, talking about fight news and things of that nature. You see me on the live co-piloting with G5 Jeff TV, the guru. And you can see me on Threads and Instagram, but you got to look me up using the number 1 instead of the word. So that's going to be boxing, the number 1 ST vlog on Instagram, and the same thing on Threads. I'm on Facebook. So it's different, you know what I mean? Different things I'm posting, all about boxing, you know what I mean? Maybe something funny here and there. You might see a post or two, but I keep everything solid, respectful, you know what I mean?
Absolutely, man. Boxing First Vlog doing a great job. Just different posters coming out. He got videos out now. Got a lot more work to do over, to the end of the month, basically. Got a lot going on. So definitely subscribe to Boxing First Vlog. Follow him on social media too. If you follow him on social media, you really shouldn't have no questions, in terms of what's going on with him.
Tell a friend to tell a friend, and then we'll all be in.
Exactly what he said. I like what he just said. You know what I'm saying? Lance Meyer said, all right, y'all. Lance Meyer, man, we here Thursday. Man. Everything G5 Jeff TV, man. I'm all over the place, man. Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, you name it, I'm there. You know what I'm saying? I got regular videos getting ready to drop. I got highlights from this show that's going to drop tonight and tomorrow. We'll be back Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Your boy G5 Jeff TV, everybody's favorite OG, Boxing First Vlog. This was episode 12 of Throw the Hook Podcast, man. We'll see y'all Thursday. Make sure you meet us there.